Hey,
Awesome.
we got
Well,
Mitch.
we have Mitch in the house. Let's officially kick this call off. Welcome, everybody. My name is Justin Wolf. I do have a special guest with me. This is Illuminate Your Potential. So if you're checking us out, you're in the Modern Wealthy Facebook group. Welcome. If you just joined Modern Wealthy and you're wrapping your head around what is this all about? What could this mean for you? Welcome to Launch You. The purpose of this call, if this is the first time you checking us out or listening in, is what I like to do is I want to connect with our members. I really like to dig in to understand their story, what brought them here, why they're here, what are they looking to accomplish, and what is it that they have done, what's their strategy? How do they think? How do they act? How do they behave? What are their habits? I like to dig in to understand their journey to starting to take themselves on and creating results in a space that, quite honestly, none of us have ever had experience in. I didn't have experience in online business or marketing in 2009. And I'd say that 99.9% of the people who come here, this is new to all of us. So I like to use the time that we share here to really inspire, to pull back the curtain, so to speak, and to give some insight for those listening in. And wherever that impact falls, I'm open to it, right? I've seen that happen on many levels with the people who come out here and share. So again, welcome to Launch You. And I'm really excited for the guests that we have out here today. And right up front, it's not because I've spent a lot of time with Mitch. It's because I've seen what he's done on the outside looking in. I've seen the number of sales. I've seen the action that he's taken. He's only been here for 18 months, and he's been making it happen for quite some time at a very significant level as a Launch You ambassador, but not only as a Launch You ambassador. We're gonna dig in. We're gonna see what Mitch is up to. But without any further delay, Mitch, say hello. How are you, my friend? It's a pleasure to share this space with you. Can you, I think you may be muted. Mitch, if you could just check your microphone. There we go.
Is that better?
I can hear you now, my friend.
Okay, brilliant.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. I want to thank you for jumping on and taking the time to share with our amazing community. Well, let's just jump right in. Tell everybody, well, where are you checking in from?
At the moment, I live in Portugal. I live in the middle of Portugal in an area called the Alentejo. And that's where I live with my wife for the last 4 years, I guess.
Awesome. It's about 8 o'clock where you are right now? Exactly.
8 p.m., 8:05, yes.
Appreciate you being here in the evening hours. So, Mitch, I've seen the sales rolling in nonstop. I'm aware of the results that you've gotten in your business. Really quick, before we get into like your story and your journey, get everyone up to speed of like what's happening in your business. What kind of results are you getting right now? What kind of sales are you making? How's your 2022 looked? Let's get everybody up to speed so they know kind of like what you made happen. So
I'll just have a quick look at a chart here because I was just doing my November results, as you do. It's the end of the month, isn't it?
That's true.
But it's been a good month, November. I think I ended up with managing to secure, I think, just over 180 like-minded souls to come in and join the mentors group, which is great. It's a record month for me. Last month was 172, but it sounds awesome. But if I go back to July was 7. So July was 7. I think January was 2. February was 3. That's the way it was going. I wasn't getting it right. But you just have to keep coming and keep coming. And for me, the big breakthrough was what I've come to call video 46. And people laugh, but it was the 46th video. And video 46 seemed to work. And so I got into panic mode because I was spending, I guess, like a lot of the new people. I'd watched Caroline Grubb's training, and she recommends putting $300 a month aside and then just putting $10 a day and watching what happens. And I've been doing that over and over. But then suddenly this one changed, and you start getting all these little ticks. And I started getting emails from you and Stuart, which is quite exciting. and they were coming, but started coming at 2 or 3 a day, which is fantastic. And it's just
go ahead.
It's just crazy how you think you've got somewhere, but now you just realize you've taken 2 steps, and now there's the whole Google thing is opening up now. It's another whole digital nightmare that I have to get to grips with, but on we go. It's the next phase, I guess.
Better to diversify your marketing and to grow and scale when you're getting 180 people in your business a month versus 2 or 3 like January or February. But what a journey. How long ago was it that you started here? When was your first month?
I actually signed up in June. What was last year? 2020. Yeah. So I signed up in June 2020. And I spent 4 months, I think 5 months before I got the first video out. I think I'm maybe a little older than some of the people I've bumped to in the group. But when I started, email was a challenge, because you've got to get the address right and all of that. And suddenly I had to learn all this other stuff. And I just plodded through the course. And that's what I found nice about the course, because you youngsters, you talk too fast, but you can go back and watch the thing again and just play it. The video does that wonderful thing that you can play it back at 1.75 if you're boring, or you can play it back at 0.75 and you can watch the steps. And that's what I was doing. Pick up somebody like Martin Strong. He seems to be some kind of a genius, but I watch his videos at 0.5 so I can see what he's actually doing, go back and do it again. And slowly you build the thing up. So I got the Google right, then got the Aweber right, then moved on to getting YouTube ads together. And as I say, I got my first ad out, I think, in November last year. And it was terrible, but it was grand fun, let me tell you. I'd taken 4 or 5 months to get there, but I had an ad out in YouTube, which was quite a step.
Love it. So June 2021, right? To July, August, September, October, you start to launch in November, right? And then by January, February, you started to make like 2-3 sales a month. You started to get some traction, right? Just with a small budget, you're starting to see what works. Then I'm sure that builds up, but then you're saying by, was it July or June this summer, video number 46, then things it took off on a different level.
That's how it goes, because it's easy to see if your video is working or not, because there's an amazing lady called Caroline Grubb. And if you've got any difficulty, then what you do is you log on to her Monday morning call. And as soon as she says good morning, just type your question in the chat, into the Q&A. And she's amazing. She answers your question. It's not like a presentation that she's doing. She answers your individual questions. And I just found that by following Caroline week by week by week, I could sort out all my issues with Google. And she's taught me how you can tell quite early if an ad's working or not working by the number of people who are coming in, the percentages you're getting. And so you learn quite quickly that if you've got an ad out and 10% of people are watching it, but hardly anybody's clicking, then maybe it's not a great ad. So within a week or 10 days, you can learn that an ad's not going to turn you into Stuart Ross, and you abandon it and you do another one. And then what I realized was it's probably best for me to do an ad or two a week and try and learn what I've done wrong, do another one, learn what I've done wrong, and do another one. And that's the road I went on. That's why there's so many ads. People think it's funny, 46. You get used to talking on a camera, let me tell you. But
yeah,
it makes a difference.
This is the epitome of success, and this is how it works. Everyone would love to get to video 46 right away, but what made video 46 possible, all those things that you were describing, right? Asking the question, getting a little insight, making a little tweak, putting it out there. I know what to look for now. No, not good. Back to the drawing board, ask another question, apply it. This is why coaching, mentoring, having that support structure, critical for us to grow at a pace and to evolve at a pace where you get that breakthrough. And from there, okay, you develop a skill, right? Go ahead, jump in.
It's a funny thing because it was working on two levels. When I started, I did what Stuart said you mustn't do. I joined Mentors, and then I joined the Launch You program. And Stuart spends about half, I think, of the first video saying the next 3 modules are the most important. Get your target right, get your message right. Everything depends on getting that right. And because you're normal, you go, yeah. Come on, where do I put the ads? How do I get on Google? How do I do all that? And you skip, module 1, 2, and 3. You watch them quickly, and you get to where you put ads on Google, and you spend a lot of money, and then you realize, there was something this guy said, and you go back to the beginning. And that's what turned it all around for me, because I was making ads about the concept of working online and earning money. I thought, that's brilliant. It'll happen. And every morning you wake up and look at your email and there's nothing there. And so it goes. And then you go back to the beginning again and think, okay, this time I'm going to watch Stuart and actually listen to what he says. So you watch Stuart, watch some of your calls during the weeks. You watch all these things, and particularly, I think some of your early calls that I was watching, not your early calls when I was new, about narrowing down into your niche. So I thought, okay, that's worth a look. So I'm not having any success telling the world that they should be earning online. So I did the exercises again in module 2, focusing down on the niche. And the thing comes out there, it says, the easiest way to get your avatar right is to be honest with yourself. And that's what gave birth to my first successful video, because I just tell the story of my wife and I left everything in London, sold up the house because we'd come to stay in Portugal after working for 2 years in Saudi Arabia. And Portugal just seemed like heaven on earth. And so we thought, okay, let's start a bed and breakfast and a guest house and a restaurant in Portugal. I've never been good at pre-planning. So we went back to London, sold everything, came out here. And so it was about 2018, we'd set up the bed and breakfast, got it all ready, had our first year of starting to get things going. And then 2020. And then you realize I built a really wonderful business here. Half my income is locked down in a hotel, and the other half's in a cafe restaurant. And nobody's allowed to visit either. And I was stuck. Money was just flying out because we were paying staff. We were keeping the place going. We weren't allowed to have any guests. It was just crazy. And there was nothing I could do because we couldn't travel. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago, it was horrible. We were stuck here. And I remember sitting on the computer trying to get a job in London, in anywhere. And you find out for the first time that when you're 60, it's bloody hard to get a job online. And I must have done 100, 110 applications. And I think one person or two people sent me polite replies, but most of the people just didn't even answer the emails. And it was really soul destroying stuff. And then one day I was watching something important on YouTube. I don't know what, the football or something like that. And a lovely young gentleman called Mike Sharks jumped up, and he said to me, he'd left his old work and started this online business. So I thought, okay, that's what I need to do. I need to start an online business. So I signed up, and that's how I got into the course in June last year, end of June last year. And I went through the whole training, and that's where I started. It's been quite a challenge, as I say, because a lot of it is technical, but that's why the best button I've found on the whole of my computer is the one that allows me to slow down the videos. So I can go back and watch things over and over again until I understand exactly what I must do, put it up, test it. So built the whole system that people will be familiar with, learned how to do Google ads, basic Google ads, learned how to set up an autoresponder, learned all those things, and then it became time to make videos. And making a video about my real story, targeting 55 to 60-year-olds who've got stuck. And we do get stuck at our age. When I was 30, I never thought I'd have trouble finding a job. But when you're 60, you have trouble getting an interview, never mind finding a job. And it was just, I never used the word epiphany before. Here goes. It was an epiphany to find out that when you're old, you've got experience. And when you go online with experience, that's what people want. They're not judging you by your age, your looks, your car. Someone's coming online to find out about something. And if you know how to do it, because you've been around a while, that's what they want. So the youngsters are clever. They can, I don't know how old you are, sir, but I still take about 20 minutes to send a text message because you press with the thumb, and the youngsters do this thing. But the youngsters haven't got any experience. They can do the digital, but they've got nothing to say. So I think this world belongs to the older generations. That's where you can go, take your personal experience and put that online. And that's the route I went down, and it seems to be bearing fruit, really.
This is beautiful because, I think everyone in life, we're kind of all after to be the hero of our own journey, right? And this experience thing you're talking about, whether it's your professional experience, I mean, look at your experience with the bed and breakfast. I mean, not easy by any means. Probably, as you said, the interviews were soul destroying, but imagine, like, you pick up, you try to recreate yourself. You're putting like probably everything into your businesses, a cafe, a bread and breakfast, and then not like that's hard enough on its own. And then COVID comes, and it's like, oh no. And it's like, everything can seem like you don't have a way out, but it kind of put you in a position to find a new path, to learn new skills, to take yourself on in a way that maybe you haven't before. And now COVID's gone. You shared with me earlier that bed and breakfast is picking up. Your digital business is picking up. I want to learn about the other things that you're working on now too, which is brilliant. Now, all of a sudden, I think in life we have a choice. We can be the victim, or we could be the creator, right? We're a victim of our circumstances, or we're going to create new circumstances. Not easy. Sometimes the easy thing to do is be the victim. I think that's an illusion, because that's hard. Not having a way out, not having something to look forward to, not seeing that, all right, I can create a change, right? And I'm not saying every day was easy, but at the end of the day, you rolled your sleeves up, and you took this on. And if that's going back through videos at 0.6, 0.7 speed, maybe Martin's 0.5, because sometimes I feel like I got to put on 0.5, or if it's 1.5 because you just want to get through the content quicker. Here you are, right? That whole experience in the last 18 months. I mean, what I see when I look at you and hear your story, I'm like, what can't you do? Right? Like you endured COVID, you're still getting those businesses on track and looking for your best year in 2023 now. You got into the digital space, which a lot of people at like your phase in your career, and they would be like, oh no, victim making excuses, not going to do it. How do you get that resolve? How do you get that type of strength or persistence or clarity? What's going on there?
That's not as heroic as you make it sound. It's kind of in the corner. And as I say, I saw Mike Jack's video, and it offered a way to try and do something, because, you know, it was a depressing time, because I'd done the enormously wise decision to sell a house in London, taken a 25% dip into our pensions. I'd done all the wrong moves that somebody like Warren Buffett would say you should never do, and built this wonderful bed and breakfast and cafe restaurant out here. And I was stuck because, you know, everything was shut. We were hemorrhaging money. And I really I don't know what depression is, but I was down. And for me, that's the biggest difference that my wife says this whole thing has made, because I plodded my way through the mentors program and then into the launch shoe, struggled to learn all the digital, but I was doing something, and I couldn't just sit and watch everything fail. We didn't know how long COVID was going to go on for. When it first started, we didn't even release any of the staff. It took 4 months before we realized, hang on, this might go on for 2 years. We can't afford to pay everyone's salary while they're all sitting at home in isolation. Yeah. And all of this was going on at the same time. And that was probably the darkest time I've ever been through. And slowly, step by step, just doing the course, just the fact that I was doing something, I didn't know if it was going to work. But that was better than just sitting and watching bad TV. And that's kind of what slowly started building me up. But what's really exciting now is I do have some good results at the moment with the Mentors program. I'm going to take a very brave step this month and it'll probably backfire, but I'm going to absolutely be ruthless about which ads carry on running and which don't, because I've learned over the last 3 months how to monitor which ads bring which results and so on. So I'm going to be very ruthless on that. Let's see what happens to the leaderboard, but I'll live with that. But for me, there's a more important, I don't want to say side effect, because it might become the main effect. I was chatting to my wife about 2 months ago, and we said, you know what's really strange? We've got a hotel, a guest house here. And what we do is we put it on booking.com and Expedia and all those places. And we're the same as everybody else. What you've got to try and do is to get people to come more often, stay longer, and book direct. That's the holy grail of the business we're in. And I thought, isn't it strange that we all just get funneled into putting ads on booking.com and Expedia? So now we're taking what's been quite an exciting step, and let's see how it turns out. We sat down and we wrote all the great attractions in this area of Portugal where we live. So we've written down the names of 12 restaurants, 6 wineries, and 10 things to do. I've then gone to every single one of them, and we've gone to the winery, we've gone to the restaurant, go to the restaurant, asked to speak to the chef. but we want to speak to him when he's busy. So it's quite a big ask. So we go there at 8 o'clock in the evening when everything's in full flow, and we video the guy for 30 seconds saying why you should come to his restaurant. Then we cut it with all this I learned on the program. I then cut in pictures of the food, people eating, just make a nice little 30-second video. So we've got that for 10 restaurants, for the wineries, for the things to see. Now what we're doing is I'm making videos to put out on YouTube, because learning this targeting, if I said I was going to run a video that said, if you're coming to Portugal, click here, I could never afford it because everybody would click. But if I say, if you're thinking of coming to the Alentejo, watch this video, only people who are thinking of coming to our area will even know what I'm talking about. So our whole plan now is to mimic the whole setup I've learned. Maybe I'm ripping off your setup, but there's going to be an introductory video that says, come to the Alentejo. This is the best. We've got these vineyards. We've got these restaurants. We've got all of this. So if you want more information, shoot me your name and address, and we'll send you a video about the vineyards, a video about the restaurants, a video about the things to do. And we've prepared these videos, and it's basically learning everything I've learned to try and drive more customers into our bed and breakfast. So our target next year is to go from 396 room nights up to 500 room nights, and to get 80% of them booking direct, not through booking.com. And that will make a difference of about 40% to our bottom line. So all of that has come from stuff that I've learned in the last 18 months. On top of that, I've done all the written work, and I've had 2 test drives, a course training people how to market their bed and breakfasts. And then we're going to launch that, and we'll see what happens there. But we've tested it on 2 new hotels, ran them through the course, everything's right. And in January, when I finish the first one, I'm going to start making little Stuart Ross videos where I talk people through setting up their photographs, visiting the local restaurants, doing that, how they put them on booking.com, how to do this, how to do that, all the way through. And I'm going to try and launch a course on how to market your guest house bed and breakfast. And again, that's learning that I've picked up in the last 18 months, because the first time I did that, I thought I wanted to get to hotels, small guest houses, everything. Everybody would want this. And so the course was called Get Seen, Get Booked. It's online now if you want to go and have a look, www.getseengetbooked. The new one's coming out, and it's called 6 Rooms or Less. And it's again just that focus, because what I've learned is that in my little tiny market, 6 rooms or less, it's a very different market to a hotel with 7 rooms or 8 rooms. And just going after these people, I'm hoping that'll be a success. So we'll end up having 3 different things happening online by about January, February next year. And it's just a complete change to where I was this time a year ago, wondering, what's best, to cut your wrist or just put a paper bag on your head, or what's the easiest way out. And now I just haven't got enough time in a day to do all these different things because we want them all done. So I don't know what the question was anymore.
Mitch, I don't care what the question was. You absolutely inspired me to my core. And when I was listening to you, and this is a really powerful message, I think everyone really deserves to hear. Stuart and I were talking. We're in Dubai right now, always working on the business. And, we always have these conversations. And it's like sometimes we always get in a funk in life. If it's mindset, maybe we're not inspired, maybe we're depressed, we're down and out, and a lot of people think that the antidote to maybe a bad mindset is, let me get more mindset. let me try to get more inspiration. Let me try to, find somebody to make me feel differently about the state that I'm in. Okay. Like in an obvious answer, that could be, somebody's go-to, or it could kind of make sense that, yeah, if you're in this state, work on your mindset and you're going to get better. and as we're just sharing, and Stu's like, here's what I feel. I think we believe this principle wholeheartedly. Sometimes just taking action is the antidote to everything. So when you were sharing like the way you were feeling, but you were just, plugging away, it was like feeling like crap, but I keep going. But it's like, maybe the next day you feel a little bit better because you got something done. And then the next day, action is the ultimate antidote to those feelings, to maybe we're in a space in our life we don't want to be. Maybe we want something, we don't know how to get there, and it's not clear. Action. Those little steps, right? These are the things that truly, I don't want to use this word rescue us or save us, but maybe that's applicable if you were feeling what you were feeling. But these are the things that actually create us. And you know what? Can you take action and maybe in a mindset that's not perfect? Of course you can. Can you take action maybe when you're not feeling great one day? Of course you can. It's a decision. But over time, when you look back and we see what we've accomplished with action, at the end of the day, it's that result. It's the change, right? Because sometimes life delivers us a blow, a result, and that leads to that feeling of depression or down and out. And I know what that's like. But what's the only way out of it? Just as that change, that action created that, well, the only thing that's going to get you out of it is probably action to swing the pendulum the other way, right? And that's powerful. I think sometimes, we could be a victim of that circumstance and just stay in it and choose to stay in it. But to be a creator in that circumstance, because we only could be one or the other. You can't be a victim and a creator, right? You can feel down and out and be a creator. How do you do that? Just take little steps every day. I mean, when Stu and I spoke about this week, and then here you are, and I don't think there's any irony here that you're sharing this principle. Right? I mean, you embodied that principle when you probably had every reason not to. Right? You probably had every reason to lick your wounds, to make excuses, to say like, oh yeah, COVID hit and this is terrible, or, I'm not supposed to get this stuff. This is way too hard. I don't have the time to watch these videos, or it's not even making sense to me. Right? I mean, that's powerful, downright powerful.
I learned from somebody along the line habits. I'm going to show you a piece of paper here. This is how my weeks run now. And I think my wife made me read a book called Tiny Habits. All it is my week is this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it's got the hard things to do first. I don't know if this is going to work. So you can see the first thing there is record a new video. Do it first while you're fresh and awake. I'm up to number 57 now, still looking for another one to beat number 46. Then it's fix the landing pages, then do Modern Wealthy. So until 10 o'clock, that's what I do. And then I switch over onto the next one, which is editing the videos for the restaurants and so on. And it goes right on until 6:30. I'm allowed to chill with wifey. But that's what makes me go. And that's why I'm wibbling on like this. It's just a piece of paper. On a Sunday night, I write down what I want to try and do that week. And then you just do them one at a time. And it's really, really nice to get to the end of the week. If I get to the end of this week and I've followed that, I will have a new video. I will have finished all the videos for the other project I was talking about. I will be ready to do the thing where you pull them all together and put them on the website. And it's such a nice way to measure your progress like that. Just writing down what you're going to do, how long it's going to take. Of course, there's good things. There's break there. The blue one is lunch. So that's a good hour long. I'm learning to be Portuguese. Lunch is important. And that's just how I'm doing it as the things come up. And so my goal is by the end of December to have the the guest house marketing up and running. We want to catch the Americans from January the 1 who are planning their visits to Portugal. And then by the end of February, I want to have the one for training, end of March probably, the one for learning how to manage your guest house. I want to have that up and working. So that's it's true what you say. I'm doing stuff now. I'm doing stuff. And what's really nice is I'm a clever digital Johnny. Before I never used to know anything. And now I can argue with people about things. You got to argue carefully when you argue about Google because it changes all the time, but you can keep going. And if you get stuck, shout out to Caroline Grubb. You get stuck with anything, join the call with Caroline Grubb. She will sort it out. And if those of you aren't got access to her calls, shoot Karina a message on support. Karina is an angel who's ended up on earth by mistake. And you can ask her anything and she will patiently give you the answer. I got an email and a message from her today, and you can hear how hard we make her work. Let me see if I can just pull it up and I'll read it out because she's so patient. Karina. Hi, Mitch. As I've mentioned before. And then she shows me the links I'm supposed to be using. And she's just great. How patient is that? As I've mentioned before, if you click here, then follow this through, the lady's a diamond. But I just thought I'd mention those two. And there's dozens on the group, dozens and dozens of people that can help you.
Yeah.
It's really been great.
I'm inspired. Hopefully the people who are listening to this and just hearing how you approached your circumstance. I mean, you're giving them a clear peek behind the curtain of like, here's your recipe. Here's how you went from, your world crumbling to feeling that viscerally to, anything's possible now. And I think we overestimate what we can do in a month. And I think we severely underestimate what we can do in a year. And look how much has changed in a year for you. Right. And maybe somebody isn't in the situation that you're at. Maybe they're not that bad, but what you're giving everyone hope to is that, you stay at this, you stay committed, you take action, you take it serious, no matter how many times you got to go back through the video or how many times you have to slow it down, or if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I really believe we underestimate what we can do in a year, but you're proof that if you follow that, it could be a 180. It could be completely different. And that's powerful. That's a special message. And I'm learning a lot about you. I'm inspired. I'm sure our community is. Thank you for sharing that. Before we wrap up, do you want to give any advice? Is there anything we didn't speak about on your journey that you think is significant? And we could go any which way with this, Mitch. I want to come from you. What would you share in closing with our community?
That's a big question. It's so hard because it's like when people say to you, "What's your favorite food?" I can't answer that question. You see what I mean? Because sometimes it's a curry, and sometimes it's a roast chicken, and sometimes it's a barbecue, and sometimes it's, and that's what I've found within this whole thing. There's dozens of different aspects to it. I focused mainly on the earning money, getting things right. So from the desperation that I had at the beginning of 2020 to try and get to a point, I think at the end of this year, with a bit of a flowing wind and a bit of luck, I should get back to zero. That means all the money I've spent on advertising and courses and everything will have been earned back. And that's a landmark for me, because after that, I can start putting money back into the pension. Because it's a desperate thing when you're drawing down on your pension from the UK just to pay bills. And so from that point to get to where I am now, where I'm trying desperately not to draw down from the pension anymore because I want to launch 3 different sites. It's a whole excitement thing. And that business side of it is where I would tick a very big box. But my wife would tick a different box. She said that somehow having all this stuff to do and engaging with all these people and working in this way, it's just rejuvenated me. I mean, I've never been a quiet soul, but it was hard in 2020, and I became a quiet person. And it's so horrible when you go out to dinner with somebody and you're just thinking, yeah, this is, I can't really afford this. It was just a terrible, terrible time. And now I'm back to my old self. Going out to dinner like last night. I couldn't really afford that, but it didn't matter. It's just, I know things are coming right. And so my whole psyche has changed back to where it was 20 years ago. And that's what I'm chasing now. And so I've got the 2 things working. The little businesses are working, and my wife says I've become normal again. And I can't ask for more. So I'm going to carry on. Let's see where I am in a year.
I got a hunch that you're going to be just fine, right? I think you got through the belly of the beast. You're turning your bread and breakfast around. You're at a point where everything you put into this, you're recouping. And now this is where you get to stack chips again, right? This is where the bed and breakfast gets to take off. You got a plan to get 40% more on top of that business. You're getting in a position now where you're focusing your marketing for your Launch You Ambassador program. I mean, it's all working out, right? And again, when you started marketing and you got that video cranking in the summer to be where you are right now, that's a beautiful thing. It's really inspirational. And thank you for taking yourself on, sharing your story today. Giving anyone who's out there listening to this, if wherever you're at, you can make the change. You just got to put one foot in front of the other. And Mitch, based on the circumstance you were in, and to see where you are right now, and to have everything at your fingertips is special. And looking forward to seeing it, and anything I could do to help you along the way, I'd be honored to. This is our mission here. This is what it's about. And you just validated that in your story and in your share. It's just a reminder of how important what we do here is. It's just a powerful reminder, at least for me. So thank you for that. I have one last question for you, and this has nothing to do with business. All right. If Portugal and England are playing in the match in the World Cup, who are you rooting for?
Portugal.
All right.
That's easier than you think, because actually I'm originally from South Africa. So
okay.
Portugal's the home. I'm also learning Portuguese, which is a completely new challenge because it's a Latin language and they just mess around with the verbs like you can't believe. It's really hard, but I can get through on Portuguese now. And by the end of the year, I want to be nearly fluent. And then I'm applying for the residency and I have to go and do my language test and all that. So that's the other goal by the end of the year, to be fluent in Portuguese and get my Portuguese residency. So it'll be a good year next year. End of next year, not the end of this year. Sorry.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say 30 days to learn a language. I was like,
I've been doing it for 2 years, so it'll be done. It'll be done.
Awesome. I thank you again for giving of yourself this evening. Thank you for inspiring, and thank you for giving that gift to yourself. I really appreciate it, Mitch. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime. So with that, our amazing Launch You community, Modern Wealthy Group, again, week in and week out, we come here. This is, again, to let's peel back our stories. Let's peel back, what is this journey to see our potential, to fulfill what's in our heart, to go down this path of life and to get what we want. Never forget this. If there's something inside of you, if there's something, again, in your heart, if there's something you desire, there is nobody more qualified on this earth to pursue that than you. It's there for a reason. It's beckoning you for a reason. It may take courage to step into it. It may take faith. It may take consistent action, right? And I love what you shared. It's like you brought me back to my journey when I looked at my own success as an affiliate, as a digital entrepreneur. That planning, starting your week with a roadmap, with a plan, with a goal for that week, it's a game changer. It is a game changer. I mean, that is powerful in itself. So if you're listening to this and you're not doing that, if you're not starting your week off, ending your Sunday, or starting on a Monday with that plan, Mitch is a proof that one little habit, and the book that you recommended was Tiny Habits. Again, this is the key to making change. And don't ever underestimate what you could do in a year. And thank you for that amazing reminder, Mitch. With that, we're going to wrap this baby up. And again, if you need to gain context, you need to have a conversation, you need to connect with us, you want to ask questions, you want to wrap your head around what's possible, how can we help you in your journey, book your vision call. If you're already here plugging away and you need insight, reach out to support. Karina, really appreciate how you show up week in and week out. Thank you for that acknowledgement. Caroline, I just saw her name pop up in my phone. Thank you for being who you are, and all of our coaches, mentors, and everyone else in the community. Appreciate you. Let's keep rolling. Take care, everybody. This call's a wrap. Thank you again, Mitch.